I love your character in Burrow's End. He's so much fun. And
Thank you.
it's so exciting seeing you in the dome. This is your first time, and it's the 20th season of Dimension 20. Can you tell me about being asked to join the season and what it feels like to play in the dome?
Oh man, it still feels like the most surreal thing that's like ever happened. I basically like got the chance to go out to America last year to go to Big Bad Con, and it was actually off the back of that event that I was like, I'm going to do a little trip to LA because I knew a lot of the folks out there, and I thought, oh, I'll just like nip over and maybe I'll see if I can record some stuff for my other show through Black Halflings, and I actually ended up doing a one shot with a Bria out there, and it was called Wakandel. It was this sort of what happens if you mash Wakanda and Rivendell into one place, and did this one shot, and ended up then staying at Abria's house later that week because the people I was staying with, they had to go out of town, and we just got along really really well, and it was one of those sort of almost like instant connections, and I literally now refer to Abria as my big sister, like just because I felt like it was just so much love, and we really enjoyed working together, and she sort of made this throwaway comment about, oh, I'm going to bring you in on something, and I was like, oh well, whatever, I'm sure you're probably just being nice, or and sort of smash cut to February, I think, or something like that this year, and getting a message from Brennan saying, hey dude, do you have time for a quick Zoom? And I was like, Brennan Lee Mulligan doesn't have time for a quick Zoom with anyone. He is like the busiest human being in the world. So what is this? But then he'd messaged, I think, quite late and then gone to sleep. So then by the time I saw it in the morning, and then I had like a whole day, like 8 hours of just speculation. Me and my wife just being like, what does it mean? What does it mean? Like, is this adventuring party? Is it like, what is this? And then eventually, yeah, he called me up and said we wanted to be on a nice next series of Dimension 20. And I honestly nearly passed out. Like I'm a huge fan of Dimension 20. It's been a real kind of like nerdy home for me. I think that it's like one of the best things in the space, and I just so to be invited to be on something of that like standard, it's like the TTRPG equivalent of like getting cast in Game of Thrones or something. It's just that it feels absolutely huge. And like even now every week when I'm getting a little notification saying Dimension 20's tagged you in a post, it's just like really surreal, but I'm absolutely loving it and couldn't be more kind of honored that I get to be here and like tell the story. So very, very excited.
That's so awesome. I love what you did with the eye makeup too, to like really
Mm,
showcase the scar. I think it's on point every time.
thank you. Yeah, I love gays do that. The makeup team was very excited when me and Rashawn were like, yeah, we're down for anything. Just go crazy. So
That's so
yeah, I enjoyed that.
and then can you talk to me a little bit about your character creation process for Thorn and his backstory?
Yeah, of course. So, Thorn came about because Abria had sort of given us a little brief in terms of like, oh, what kind of world it is, and obviously we all knew that we were Stoats. And I kind of had a few ideas, but it was very clear that Abria made it very clear that we weren't going to be kind of anthropomorphized in any way. We weren't going to be sort of like human-like Stoats. It wasn't sort of Zootopia-like situation, and so it was sort of like thinking about trying to find something that felt like a cornerstone or a keystone that I could latch onto with the character. And I think literally the first idea that I had was reluctant cult leader. That was like just the sort of one phrase pitch that I had for the character was just reluctant cult leader. And I think as soon as I said it, I don't think Brennan was going to let me do anything else. Like Brennan just immediately found that concept hilarious and wanted me to do it. And then so we had I was on Zoom, but everyone was together doing a character creation session, and I think once I'd said it, it kind of married very well with what Rashawn had pitched, because the idea that the group really loved for Rashawn was this sort of first lady of the church idea or vibe. And so it was a nice little kind of puzzle thing, kind of piecing it all together. And I think once it became clear that we were going to do a family, it then became, okay, well, and how is Jasper's character related to the family? And so it was a nice little kind of puzzle. But I think the reluctant cult leader really just kind of came to me of in terms of something that I could latch onto, because I've always loved the idea and the dynamic of power and like how power affects you as a person. And I thought, well, what if you are someone who power is drawn to you, but it's not necessarily something that you actually enjoy, like it makes you feel like uncomfortable, or and I think that in some ways there's some parallels to me, in the sense that the last few years I've started doing a lot more like production, and I've started kind of assuming kind of higher positions and things like that, but I'm always very like, oh, I don't want to like put anyone out, or so I think there is definitely some parallels when I watch the episodes back. I'm like, oh yeah, I was like that in a meeting yesterday, which is a little bit worrying. But yeah, I think that was kind of the sort of general process, and then from there just figuring out the sort of backstory of him growing up outside of a warren, and maybe not having some of those like more natural stoat-like instincts, and playing around with that, and because it means that I get to, and Thorn gets to provide a nice like counterbalance to some of the otherwise I feel like the family as a whole will naturally kind of pull all in the same direction. And I think it's it was really important for us, even though we're playing a family, for there to be different dynamics. And I think for instance, like Erica does a fantastic job with Ava, kind of representing again like a different viewpoint, and same with the children. And so I think it was really nice to kind of layer in these different perspectives and ideas within the group. And I think that really getting to think about Thorn's upbringing helped us create that.
I completely agree. I love it. I loved that we got some conflict this episode between Thorn and Ayla in a very interesting way. Can you talk about working with Rashawn to really, that relationship feels so lived in. Like I truly like, yeah, these guys have been forever, like been together for years. This completely tracks.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly don't think it's possible for me to give Rashawn enough flowers. Like it was like such an instant vibe together. We had like a couple of Zooms before we got into the dome. We never met sort of before, being brought together on the project or anything like that. We had a couple of Zooms just to sort of talk a little bit about characters, we kind of almost like semi role played, like, like what the first date would have looked like, and, how they, sort of met and became friends. And, and so we kind of played around with this idea of like, oh, Thorn probably came to the Warren and would like offer certain things to sort of trade. And, Viola would sort of naturally became like a contact almost for that Warren. And, just sort of playing out like little details like that was really, really helpful, I think, for us. And then the biggest thing and the biggest kind of compliment I think I can pay to Rashawn is that she ran so so beautifully with just this kind of idea of like, we're going to hold the space together and know that we're kind of safe with each other. Like I felt safe with Rashawn all the time. And I think, and I'd like to say, hopefully vice versa, in the sense that like, we knew that we could push against each other, and that there could be resistance and there could be support, and it would always feel like it's coming from a like a supported place from us as performers, that we that there was no place that we couldn't go, because that's what happens in relationships, right? You put each other in uncomfortable positions and you challenge each other, and you push each other to like achieve more or do better, or be better people, whatever it may be. And I think relationships are uniquely positioned to do that and to bring the best out of us. And so I think it was really important that me and Rashawn felt like we could do that for each other. We could kind of push each other and be very open and be a bit more kind of raw as characters in and around each other, in a way that we wouldn't get to do with other characters. And so I think it was definitely about having that trust and faith in each other, that the other one would bring something up if we kind of trod on a nerve, or what I mean, whatever it is. And I think that having and knowing that you have the support of your fellow performer when you're tackling, something that can be very real and very raw is endlessly important. So I think a lot of it was down to the sort of trust, and I honestly don't even know if that a lot of that was spoken. I think it was very much just me and Rashawn came in and was like, you ready? We're gonna do this. We're sort of really looking at each other and being like, let's bring it, you know what I mean? I've said this a million times before, I'll say again, I don't think that I get to the, where I got to with Thorn and, my performance and everything, if it wasn't for, Rashawn being there and being that kind of support for me. It was really amazing. And I absolutely loved getting to work with Rashawn, and I'll do it endlessly if I get the chance, because she's brilliant.
I love that. Now we had our first box of doom roll in this episode, and based on the teaser,
Yeah.
it seems like you might have one next episode. How does
Yeah.
that kind of elevate the pressure for you guys in the dome? Because it's like
It's horrific. Yeah, it's horrific. I just, I think it's one of those things where so one of the things that Dimension 20 does so well is it lets you forget the edifice of the show. It lets you just be at the table playing with these people, and like playing in a way. It's like, I can't kind of explain how lucky you are to get to be a part of that table. Like, it is getting to play D&D, but in like the most, or playing a TTRPG in like the most brilliant way. It's like everything is supported. Everything that you could possibly need is taken care of, and all you have to do is play and just focus on the play, and it's like beautiful. So you do all of that, and it's like, okay, amazing. We're in this. This is great. And then as soon as someone brings out the box of doom, immediately the fact that this is like this, the weight of D20 just comes crashing down. You're like, oh my God, okay, wait, we could die. This is bad. Oh my, so suddenly everything becomes really real. So it was it was very intense for me seeing the box of doom come out and suddenly like, oh my, no, this is bad. This is very bad. And yes, I do have a box of doom roll in the next episode. But fear not, I've rolled so well in this season, so I'm sure it'll be fine.
fine.
There's no problems. There'll be no problems whatsoever. It'll be okay.
How did it feel to finally get some good rolls after
Let me tell you, I never want to see that dice tray again. I don't actually think I can see the dice tray again. I'm pretty sure that it has been destroyed by production, or at least, say put aside for Murph for next season or something, I guess. But yeah, no, it's nice. I literally tweeted about it the other day because I think that Nat 20 from the previous episode felt like such a big moment for Thorne, to kind of, also partly because then it was always sort of throughout the series there'd been this like hints to Thorne having this kind of power and this, and the idea that people are drawn to him because he has this power and because he has shown himself to be, so capable. And so whilst it was like enjoyable in the sense that I really enjoyed getting to play Thorne in this kind of slightly frazzled, like sort of slightly out of his depth way, it felt really important that eventually I get to the point where I show everyone like, no, really, there's a reason that people have followed me. There's a reason that I, became this leader. I do have this power, etc. So it genuinely felt really important that to have that moment and to have it be kind of as epic as it was. And, just huge props to Abria. As a fellow DM, I absolutely love it when I get the opportunity to go ham on a little bit of description and stuff like that. And I'd actually run that description specifically by Abria already, just because I was like, I don't want this to feel world, breaking with the lightning and whatever. So, but she was like, no, just go for it. That's great. So very happy to be rolling better.
And the dice came in the clutch for you with it, so it worked out perfectly.
Exactly. They got to tell a story. You know what I mean? That was the rags to riches moment for Thorne. So that was important, I think.
I loved it. And then how is Thorne feeling now that his cult is kind of gone? Like Oliver and Teetles sort of went their own path in this episode, and it's really just him with this family that he's become a part of. That is kind of insane.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I think for Thorne, he never kind of, I think part of the thing of him not wanting to be the cult leader or not wanting to be the leader in any real sense wasn't about him not wanting to have that community, but it was about wanting people to have the freedom of choice. I think that he never felt like it should be his will over anyone else's will, or, you know what I mean? I think that was always the point that he kind of resisted, where maybe Viola felt that was a necessary part, of kind of keeping people safe. And so I think that there definitely is a almost like a slight easing, of his sense of responsibility, and he knows that Oliver and Teetles will be fine. But I think it was more it's more been the sense of loss for him, of just the people that he wasn't able to save, that he wasn't able to look after, and feeling, pulled in all these different directions by the family, by the Lakura. Like, I think it was really, really important to him to, to get to a point where, like, okay, there is some sense of safety here. We have, found a base, etc. And I think he probably is finding himself in a slightly more familial position, which is like, no, we're back to being like a band. I think when Oliver and Teedles and he were first rolling together, it was, we are out trying to survive, all working together, etc. before there became any power dynamic. And so them sort of choosing to sort of go off and do a bit more of their own thing, and knowing that we're all kind of working towards the same causes, I think quite a relief for Thorne, honestly, especially after the harrowing events of the last few days. I think it's felt important. So
yeah, Thorne's had a rough few days, and he found out he's going to be a father, and then had kind of his first one-on-one with Jason and Lila, and very quickly was over that.
Yep. Oh, immediately. Yeah.
How's he feeling like about being a father, and kind of after this experience with Jason and Lila about how he is going to be as a father?
Yeah, I think that the the thing with it's kind of like the idea of looking after or raising someone else's kids. It's like you get used to the rhythm of your own children, or of your own family, or whatever it is. And so I think that him finding Lila and Jason entirely too much is as much about him kind of needing more time to adjust to their energy as anything else. I think it was like there's a very sort of fun story in that I found out that I was going to be a father, I think about 24 hours before I got on a plane to go to America to shoot Burrow's End. And it was and so we decided that Thorne and Viola were going to sort of have, potentially have a litter months before that, So there was this really weird sort of thing of like being sat at the table and processing my actual own impending fatherhood and Thorne's at the same time, which in an improvised format was very, very kind of eye-opening and, interesting. And I think that he feels that kind of similar sense of responsibility, but there is something about wanting to, I think in the same way that he's starting to feel towards Lila and Jason, is like wanting to bring the next, kind of generation through to be kind of, better and stronger and faster and, brighter than the sun, softer than the wind, like I think it's like all about kind of him trying to embrace the gifts that he has been given to impart onto others. I think that's always been the kind of idea of the Lakura, was always like, I have gifts that I think if everyone else has access to, we'll all be in a better place, kind of thing. His all of his vision has always been like, can I impart this on someone else so that, I don't have to be the leader all the time, but also, is there a scenario where we're all as strong as I am, and therefore we're able to do more and accomplish more and not live in fear and, embrace the gifts that we have, etc. So I think he's sort of excited, actually, very excited by the prospect, obviously being a father, but, given the fact that there's still a lot of mystery to be uncovered and clearly some things going on which are, shrouded in not only mystery but also danger and and fear, I think that is a more immediate concern, is making sure that they all kind of get to somewhere or get to a point where they feel truly safe enough to have this litter and enter the next phase of his life. Yeah.
Definitely. I did love the moment where you were like, my own children will respect me. That was just a little line to himself.
Yeah, like, that's what I mean. Yeah, right. Exactly. That's it. I'll be fine.
A lot.
Yeah, it's gone for me and them. They're never going to respect me. I'm always going to be this like Uncle Doofus or whatever,
And then you're talking about the danger. I thought it was really, really interesting how Thorne reacted to the danger compared to everyone else, because he does have this really, really different like origin where he didn't grow up in a Warren and a Burrow with everyone. He's used to kind of living with threats more readily available. how do you think he's reacting to the revelation of like the human monsters in comparison to everyone else? And why do you think he's so quick to kind of jump on board with, no, we're going to stay here and help fight them versus we need to run away?
Yeah, I think this was interesting. Again, it just, part of me as as a performer is always like, what's the kind of like most interesting choice? And I always feel so I always feel so like kind of emboldened by like, okay, what feels like the most active thing for my character, like for them to be doing. And actually I think that getting to this place, there was a mixture of excitement and fear, in the sense that like there was confirmation here. I think that seeing these other stoats that have been affected by the blue, and the things that they have done and the things that they're achieving with that was very exciting, because it kind of was it was that confirmation of like, no, we can actually do something, we can achieve something. And the visions that I've had and the things that I've seen are true to some extent, that like there is a sense that the humans these monsters, that they fear this power that we wield. And I think that he sees this as almost like the confirmation almost feels like an emboldening of like the way that he's sort of chosen to live his life, in the sense that like his instinct was to run away from the Warren when the smoke and the smog came, and we're now here when the others aren't. And I think there's other instincts. His instinct and him and Viola's instinct was to go for the brain of the bear, and now because of it, him and Viola are stronger. His instinct was to be drawn towards the light, and because of it, we're now in this place filled with all of these hundreds of other stoats, and we are infinitely stronger in number and in kind of knowledge than we were previously. And so I think it's like he's trying to follow his instincts whilst obviously not shutting anyone out or trying to. I think I say, and there's a line that Thorne has that I said in a couple episodes earlier, like, I'm not saying this as a cult leader now, I'm saying this as a family member. And I think that's important for him, is that he knows that like the other ones know that he's not sort of trying to tell them what to do. He wants everyone to arrive at that same, thing. And I think that honestly, the most overriding thing is that Thorne's always scared. Like, it's a bit like Hulk, his secret is that he's always terrified. And for him, he fully believes that no matter where they go, the monsters will find them. They're that much bigger. They're such a scale of magnitude bigger than us that like what will take us a day to cross will take them a few hours or half. You know what I mean? Like, they're just truly, there's no distance that we can put in between us and these monsters that will be safe enough for me and my family. And so the only way for me to feel truly safe, or for us to feel truly safe, is to know that we have the ability to beat them. And I think that like, that's a big concept, especially for like Tula, who, has like the absolutely, diametrically opposed view on that front. It's very interesting. And it's such a joy getting to play with Brennan. Slightly terrifying having to sort of like argue and butt up against Brennan, when I'm like, I'm in his house and I'm disagreeing. This feels, it's a little bit terrifying. But like, yeah, like an incredible joy to get to do that with him. So I think that's probably the reason why he kind of embraced it as much as he has, which is down to his instincts leading him this far and thinking, well, we're all still here, so we'll see if it pays off.
I love that. I hope it does, because it's been right so far. May not have rolled well, but he has been right.
Yeah, exactly. It would have been nice if the dice helped me out a little bit, but we're okay.
Then what have you kind of taken from, because like Bria as a GM is one of my favorite things to watch.
Yeah, the best.
Is there anything you've learned from playing with her that you've maybe wanted to take into your own games?
Oh my God. I mean, like endless amounts. Fun story. There's a wonderful show over here in the UK called RP Geeks, which I'd love to shout out. They're just releasing a Kids on Bike series, which I was in, and actually lifted a character voice directly from this one of Abria's NPCs, directly from that, and I played that using that, basically that voice in this particular series. So if you've seen it, it's Lucas's voice. So I basically just did the voice, this the whole time. It was great. But I fell in love with Lucas so much. It's like I have to steal that for at some point. So I did. But no, I think seriously, I don't think, and this is absolutely no slight on anyone else, and not sort of trying to get into sort of a weird comparison mode, but because it's not, but I just don't think that anyone handles emotions and the emotional weight of a moment and the kind of impact that has on a character's psyche and their sense of self and everything like Abria does. Abria tees you up in a way, in the most like rich way, to understand social consequences and social dynamics. And it is just like, I can't tell you the like, how easy it is to play with Abria. Like, she is so eloquent when it comes to handling that side of the game that it is like almost impossible to like not be immersed and to not like roll with those ideas. And I think that if I can take something away from what she does, is just like allowing the truth of all of your NPCs, regardless of whether it feels almost like a bit icky for your players, because the gift that it gives your players is incredible. Like, I think the tendency sometimes as DMs is to not want the NPCs to sort of get in the way or to present any kind of uncomfortable feelings unless it's like the villain. But actually, like, the way that Abria handled Oliver and Teedles throughout this whole series is something that, pulled me in so many different directions and allowed me to play Thorn to like the fullest extent of himself, rather than just, slightly two-dimensional, which I think, might have happened if it was just sort of him left, just to try to appease the family and fit in and, and things like that. But, she kind of lent me strength with Oliver and Teedles and, let me and sort of helped me check in, with them as well. And, I think that she's, just honestly a master at that. And, among many other things, of course, but that in particular, I just think there's no one better. And it's the biggest joy to get to play with her.
I love that. And this season, like with the animated puppet shows, the bear battle, like what has that kind of been like? Because that's another level for D&D.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's so hard to describe what, I also got to go to the Critical Role live show in a Wembley Arena the other day, and sort of so seeing, where we're at with TTRPGs and getting to be a part of this, industry at this level is just honestly mind-blowing to me. It's like I never in a million years imagined sitting at a table, with world-class storytellers and comedians and improvisers, and actors, getting to tell a story with like, Hollywood grade cameras pointing at me and projections and, the most intricately designed battle maps that you've ever seen. And, people just immediately bringing me water and snacks and whatever I needed to carry, even trying to wrap my head around that concept when I, the idea of it when I first started playing, D&D, honestly, a few years ago, it's just like, where we've already sort of gone to and where we're going is just like utterly breathtaking. And like, I just couldn't be more thankful to the like Dropout team and everything for supporting me, but also just letting me be a part of it. It feels really incredible. And an amazing sort of show of faith. It kind of feels like to let me be at that table, and bring myself. It's been utterly incredible.
I love that. I also am jealous because I watched the Critical Role live in a theater, but being there,
yeah,
been amazing.
It was pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
And then as a Dimension 20 fan, is there kind of a world that's been established here that you would like to play in and maybe like a little side quest or something?
Oh man, now that's a good question. That's a good question. Wow, what would I say? Honestly, we got to go back to Bloodkeep. Like, I loved the Escape from Bloodkeep so much. I think it was an unbelievable cast. My man Iffy is like, he's someone I've wanted to play at a table with for a long time and still haven't got the chance to. So I think Bloodkeep might be up there. Just, I would love to play a real nasty villain, character. I think that would be a ton of fun. But honestly, if Dimension 20 ask me, I will do anything. There is nothing, I will play a single kernel of corn in Candia, or I will do literally anything that they say. Oh, do you want to? I'm like, yes, already, yes. So any side quest in any world, honestly. But I think if I had to like hone in on one, I think a return to Bloodkeep would be pretty amazing.
That would be epic. And I almost want to see you play the antithesis of Thorn.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun. Like the real cult leader. Yeah, I think I'd enjoy that actually quite a lot. I'd get to do my sort of really clipped British accent, real nasty, channel my inner Charles Dance. I think that'd be fun.
I love it. Like I said, I love Thorn. I loved him in the bush going, check it out. That was fun.
I forgot about that. And it was, oh man, it was very funny. We had to rewatch that moment. Very silly.
Before we go, can you tease anything for the next episode without, giving too much away?
Yeah, okay. So I genuinely think, so the thing that I would say is that people, I think, was so blown away by the bear map and was so blown away by kind of like the general revelations about what this world is and how it's coming together. And I think that a lot of people kind of were a bit blindsided by the idea that, like, wait, there's like a real tangible real world reason why these stoats can talk and think, and what, all I can say is that any expectation you have, I promise you that episode on episode, it will beat those expectations. The story gets deeper and deeper and deeper. Like, at no point do we kind of get off the bus and go, okay, we know where we're at now. Like, every single episode, Abria brought something that like swept our feet away. And like, from this point, it's literally every single episode. And it was like, honestly, it's like trying to hang on. The next one, I think in particular, so this one or the next one, there is a huge moment, which honestly I think people, there's gonna be tears, maybe good or bad, who knows, which I think it's gonna break some people for sure, and in a good way, you know what I mean, in the way that you want to be broken. You're like, oh my god, this is incredible, that kind of thing.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, I've been surprised every episode. Every time I'm like, I think I know. Nope. No idea.
And that's it. Trust me, I was there. I was like, I was staying at Abria's house at the time when we were filming this, and I was making furious notes and trying to, work it all out. And I was asking Abria questions, and she gave me nothing, absolutely nothing. And I was desperately like, come on, I've got to be able to piece this together. And very annoyingly, there's a clip. I don't think they were recording at the time, but there is a moment where I think me, Brennan, and Erica all get a twist at the same time. And I'm so gutted they weren't filming, because we went nuts. We were like, oh my God. Like, because it was, me and Brendan in particular were so convinced we had this particular fact straight, and we were so wrong. It was ridiculous. So if me and Brendan, who were poring over it, all we thought about for like a 48-hour period were that blindsided, I'm excited to see what happens for everyone else.
I love it. I also am now just picturing you trying to like beautiful mind this, and Abria standing in the corner just like laughing.
Oh, fully giggling. Yeah, because I'm just so far away. It was, wild.
I love it. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you so much for having me. This is such a pleasure. I'm a big fan. So like, love Scream Rant. It's great. So awesome to be here.
I love Burrow. I love Dimension 20. Thorn is so much fun. So I can't wait to see more.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.